Hi, and welcome to Lunch with Lisa. I'm Lisa, and I make quick and easy healthy meals. And today, we're gonna make sweet and spicy sloppy joes. But we're gonna make them a little healthier. It's Lunch with Lisa. I don't know about you, but I love sloppy joes. I've always loved sloppy joes. But my mom always made it with that canned mix. And you never really knew what was in it. And I did look through it one time and I was like, I bet I could make that from scratch. And I still relied on the cans for a while. But today, I'm bringing you a little healthier version of sloppy joes, and we're gonna make a lot of things from scratch. Now, you don't have to make all these things from scratch, but you could. You could try. They're actually really easy to do. So just follow along and give it a try. Why not? See if you can do it. Otherwise, you can use a lot of pre-made stuff and whip this up in no time. I'm making these with turkey to lower the fat content and make them more nutrient dense versus calorie dense. So it still has a lot of protein, but not a huge amount of fat. I'm gonna put all the macronutrients down below so you can see what we're working with here. So for your sloppy joes, you're gonna need 2 teaspoons canola oil or any oil of your choice. I like avocado oil. 3 pounds ground turkey. I'm finding that this ground turkey in the tube is actually a lot cheaper right now, so I've been buying that lately. 1 large onion, chopped. Half a medium green pepper, or the whole thing, chopped. 3 garlic cloves, minced. 2 tablespoons Worcestershire sauce. 1 teaspoon crushed red pepper flakes. Now this is optional. I actually left them out because my son does not like it spicy. And I'm bringing it to my dad's house and he doesn't like spicy stuff either. And my sister's kids will be there and I don't know if they'll eat spicy things either. So I'm not making this spicy, but you can. 3 cups ketchup, 2/3 cup water, 1/3 cup packed brown sugar, 3 tablespoons spicy brown mustard, half a teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon pepper. Then you're gonna want 12 hamburger buns and some coleslaw and dill pickles. So the first thing I saw was 3 cups of ketchup. Now ketchup has a ton of sugar in it, and we're already gonna have 1/3 cup of brown sugar in this. So I wanted to reduce the amount of sugar and make this more calorie friendly. So I looked up a sugar-free ketchup recipe and I made it from scratch. You can make the ketchup a day or 2 ahead of time just to save you time on the day of your cooking. Now this recipe makes 1 cup of ketchup and I want 3 cups, so I'm gonna triple my recipe. So just be aware, I'm making a ton of ketchup. To make 3 cups of ketchup, you're going to need 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 large onion chopped. You can use fresh tomatoes here. You can use up to 9 pounds of fresh tomatoes, or you can go to the store and get canned plum tomatoes. And they come in 28-ounce cans, and you want to drain them off and roughly chop them, which I totally forgot to do. 3 cinnamon sticks, 2 1/4 teaspoons celery seed, 1 1/2 teaspoons mustard seed, 3/4 teaspoon whole allspice, 2 1/4 teaspoon kosher salt, 3/4 cup red wine vinegar, and 1 1/2 tablespoons of smoked paprika. Since we're not adding any sugar, we want to sweeten this up as much as we can by caramelizing the onions. So we're going to heat up the oil over medium-high heat, add the onion, and cook until it's golden brown and softened. It's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. After those are caramelized, add your tomatoes. If you're using canned tomatoes, add them to the onion and cook for a minute until they're warmed through. For fresh tomatoes, you're going to have to cook the mixture uncovered for about 25 minutes until the tomatoes are soft and tender. Next, we're going to press out the solids. So one of the defining characteristics of ketchup is its smooth texture. You don't need any special equipment, just a fine mesh strainer works here. I used an immersion blender to break it up, and then I pressed as much as I could out. Then I put the rest of the solids into my blender and blended it up and then pressed the remaining stuff out, and I got all of it to go through the strainer except for a little bit. You should be getting the whole mixture into the sauce. It's just going to be really smooth after you push it through the strainer. But you're going to have to blend it up and break it down so you can really smush it through that strainer. Reduce the heat to a simmer and cook this uncovered, stirring it frequently until the liquid is reduced, about halfway. It's going to take about 10-15 minutes. Make sure you stir this so it doesn't burn. Tomato has a lot of sugar in it, so it could still burn, so make sure you're stirring this frequently. Next, we're going to infuse and reduce. So now that your tomato mixture is thickened and oh so smooth, it's time to infuse some flavor into your homemade ketchup. So I recommend wrapping the cinnamon, celery seed, mustard seed, and allspice in a cheesecloth to prevent it from ending up in the finished product. We don't want any chunks. Place your spices in a double thickness of cheesecloth, or have this muslin cloth. Gather the corners of the cloth to enclose it and tie the pouch securely with a piece of kitchen twine. Add the spice pouch to the tomatoes along with the salt and return the mixture to a boil. Reduce the heat to a simmer and cook uncovered for 20 to 25 minutes. Be sure to keep stirring that ketchup because those tomatoes have plenty of natural sugars that can burn. Now we're going to finish it up. By this point, the ketchup should be nice and thick, so stir in your vinegar, smoked paprika, and simmer the ketchup until it reaches the desired consistency. Discard the spice bag and transfer the ketchup to a storage container. So on the same day you make your ketchup, go ahead and make your mayonnaise. It is super easy to do. All you need is 3 cups of a light oil. I like avocado oil, or you can use olive oil or canola oil. 1 large egg, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, half a teaspoon of salt, and if you want, you can add some pepper here. I left it out. You're going to place this in your container and use an immersion blender to blend this together. Make sure not to overblend it, but blend it until it all comes together and is emulsified and no more oil is floating on top. And bam, you have homemade mayonnaise. How easy was that? But we're going to need this later for our coleslaw. So put this in a jar and stick it in your fridge for later. It's the day to make sloppy joes, so we're going to get out our large nonstick skillet. You're going to heat up your oil over medium-high heat, and you're going to cook your turkey in batches. I just cooked a pound at a time, letting it brown, chopping it up, draining it off, and then dumping it into my slow cooker. Then in the same skillet, you're going to cook the onion and the green pepper until they're tender, about 2 to 3 minutes. Then you'll add the garlic, the Worcestershire, and red pepper flakes if you want to. I'm leaving them out. Then cook that a minute longer. Transfer this to the slow cooker as well. Then in a bowl, combine your ketchup, your water, brown sugar, mustard, salt and pepper, and then you're going to pour this over your meat and mix it all together and cover and cook on low for 4 to 5 hours until all your flavors have blended. After we throw everything into the slow cooker, we have 4 or 5 hours to kill. Or you already have your buns and you can go about doing what you need to do. Work, play, whatever. Taking care of the kids, cleaning the house, all those things. There's tons of stuff always to do, right? But let me just tell you, these homemade burger buns are better than store-bought. You're gonna wanna make these buns. They are so good and they are so easy. To make the burger buns, you're gonna need 3 tablespoons or 44 grams of warm whole milk, 1 cup or 237 grams of warm water, 2 1/4 teaspoons or 1 packet of instant yeast, 2.5 tablespoons or 31 grams of granulated sugar, 1 large egg at room temperature, 3 cups or 382 grams of bread flour. Don't substitute anything for the bread flour. Use the bread flour. 1/3 cup or 43 grams of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of fine salt, and 3 tablespoons or 43 grams of unsalted butter at room temperature. In the bowl of a stand mixer fitted with the dough hook, combine the milk, water, yeast, sugar, and egg. Add the flour to the bowl and mix until incorporated. Mix in the salt and butter. Knead on medium-low speed for about 10 minutes or until the dough comes together into a soft yet tacky dough. Should not be unbearably sticky, although it will be a little sticky. You want to avoid adding too much extra flour here because it will create tough buns. It's better to be sticky than dense. Promise. Transfer the dough to a lightly oiled bowl, then cover it with plastic wrap and let it rise in a warm place until doubled in size. About 1 to 2 hours, depending on how warm or cold your house is. Line 2 baking sheets with parchment paper, then divide the dough into 8 equal parts. I just weigh my lump of dough and then I divide that by 8, and I get roughly around 100 grams, 103 grams per roll. And then you're gonna gently roll each portion of dough into a ball. So I do this by folding in the edges and kind of rolling it onto itself a few times until it creates this nice little ball. And you kind of have to keep dipping your fingers in the flour because it's a little sticky. Then you're gonna place 4 of them to a baking sheet, 2 to 3 inches apart. Then cover these with a clean towel and let them rise again until puffy and almost doubled, 1 to 1.5 hours. Once you roll your buns into balls, we're going to now use that time of proofing to make some homemade oven fries. Oh. So all you're gonna need is 4 medium potatoes, 1 tablespoon of olive oil or avocado oil, 2.5 teaspoons of paprika, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. So preheat your oven to 400 degrees. You're gonna also use that oven soon to make your buns, so this is perfect. You're gonna cut each potato into 12 wedges. I just cut them in half and in half again, and then 2 cuts on each side. Then in a large bowl, you're gonna combine all your ingredients together, then add your potatoes and toss them to coat. Then transfer this to a greased baking pan, or you can line it with parchment paper, and bake this until tender. It takes about 40 to 45 minutes, but if you have it piled high like mine, it takes about an hour and a half. Once those are done baking, you can pull them out and put in your burger buns. Brush the tops of the buns lightly with the egg wash, sprinkle with sesame seeds, bake the buns for about 15 minutes, rotating halfway through baking until the tops are golden brown. Then you're going to transfer to a rack to cool them completely. And while your buns are cooling, your sloppy joe mix is still cooking, or it's staying warm by this point, and you can make your homemade coleslaw. So I have coleslaw for you 2 ways. The first way, it's going to be a little bit lighter, a little bit less calorie dense. You're going to use 1/2 cup of non-fat plain Greek yogurt, 1 tablespoon apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons lemon juice. I like to stick a toothpick in the lemon and squeeze it. Saves me from having to cut it open if I want to use it later. 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 1/4 teaspoon celery salt, and 1 pinch of stevia or a few drops of liquid stevia. You're going to mix that together and then dump in your cabbage, and I like to add a little bit of carrots. Then mix it together and you're going to put this to the side and let it marry. Coleslaw number 2. We're going to use our homemade mayonnaise for this. You're going to add all your mayonnaise because you pretty much just made a cup. So add all your mayonnaise to the bowl, 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of white vinegar, 1/4 teaspoon salt, pepper, and paprika. Then mix that all together, add in a pound of cabbage and about a cup of carrots. Mix it all together, and there you have coleslaw number 2. And they both taste really amazing. I love them both. If you have a bread knife, get it out. It is time to assemble our sloppy joes. I cannot wait for this. All homemade. Okay, you can choose sesame seeds or no sesame seeds on your buns. So you're going to cut your buns in half. And for sloppy joes, I don't like to toast them, but you totally can. And it smells so good, you guys. Oh. Okay, so I'm going to dump my sloppy joes on here and be sloppy with them, right? Oh. Then I'm going to take some of this coleslaw and stick it right on top. You don't have to put anything on these if you don't want to, but the coleslaw and the pickles really take this up a notch, so don't forget them. All right, so I'm gonna throw on a few pickles. Yum, yum. That's my sloppy joe burger. Look at that. That looks so good. Then I'm just gonna put some fries on my plate. And then we have some leftover ketchup. I was supposed to make 3 cups, but it made more like 4.5. I'm gonna use some ketchup on there. Now I gotta go take a picture. All right, first I'm gonna taste a fry in my homemade ketchup. Oh, these are so good. The paprika and the garlic make them taste really good, so definitely put that on there. They might need a little extra salt. All right, sloppy joes, very sloppy. Oh, I cannot wait. Oh my goodness. I had to go in for that second bite. That is a really good sloppy joe. Now it's not like the one from a can. You know the one I'm talking about. It's better. It's so good. And I guess if you use regular ketchup and stuff, it's going to be a little bit sweeter, but I really like it with the homemade ketchup. It tastes very earthy, and I don't know, there's something really, really good about it. Takes me back to sloppy joes, but better. There's something better about it. And with the coleslaw and the pickle on it, I'd never thought of doing that. Really good. And if you like this recipe, you're really gonna love this one. Go check it out. And I'll see you in my next video. It's lunch with Lisa. It's so worth it. It is delicious. Try this out. Slap a slap a Joe. Slap a Joe. Okay. Sloppy Joes all day.